Hola guys, it's Sunday and I am craving grandma's cooking, and I was going down memory lane last night and remembered something that she used to throw together either on the night all of us arrived for our summer visit or the morning of our first day of summer visit. We used to, three families, pile into cars and drive 8 hours to Alice, Texas, and show up at her little 2-room house and pile up on the floor and sleep for a few hours and wake up to this, or we'd get there midday depending on when we left, and we would sit down to dinner with this. There's no real name to it. We used to call it de lo que haga, meaning of what there is. We would make a pot full of yumminess of whatever she had on hand. And my grandma was poor, so she had the most basic of ingredients, sometimes chicken necks, sometimes leftover pieces of meat with a little bit of fat on them. I mean, you didn't get sirloin, you didn't get T-bone at grandma's, you got what she had, but she always was able to put together some awesome things. And whenever we would get there, my favorite one was when she had chicken necks. Sometimes she would have turkey necks, but I preferred chicken necks. Sometimes all she had was gizzards. Sometimes she had livers, chicken livers. Sometimes she had mollejas, those are sweetbreads, but she would put it all in a pot and we would eat de lo que haya, whatever there is. So I'm going to make chicken neck de lo que haya because this is what I had in the freezer. And I've been craving it. All it is chicken necks cooked in cilantro, cebolla. I'm sorry, I went all Mexican on y'all. I went all grandma. We have chicken necks, cilantro, onion, jalapeno, garlic, cumin, salt, pepper, and we cook it all in a little bit of oil. We cook the cabbage, well, whatever vegetable she had, she would cook separate and then dump it in the pot with the soupy bones. And if I cook it right, it's going to be like stew instead of a soup. If I cook it wrong, it's going to be like a soup. It's still going to taste good, but I sometimes struggle with getting the right consistency, and I prefer it like she left it, which was with a real nice tomato gravy. So let's get cooking my version of my grandma's de lo que haya. Okay guys, I have 2 pounds of chicken necks here. I've crushed in 3 small cloves of garlic. You can go bigger if you want. Like I said, this was use what you have in the house, and Mexicans always have garlic, comino, peppercorns. There's just certain things that are a staple in a Mexican household. So I crushed in 3 small to medium garlic cloves. I'm going to sprinkle in some comino. If you want to be old school and crush your comino in the molcajete or the mortar and pestle, go for it. This is just easier, and I've waited too long to eat, guys. I'm starving. I'm using some adobo, a little salt, not a lot. Chicken necks ain't got hardly any meat on them. And you're going to be using tomato sauce, and you're going to drop in the vegetables that are boiled in chicken stock, so you don't want to go too wah-wah with it. And some pepper. Y'all know I'm all about that pepper life. And now you're going to mix them. And I get in here with my hands. And make sure that it's all seasoned up. And we are going to pan fry them. Not pan fry them. We're going to saute them in a little bit of vegetable oil. My grandma used to always use manteca or bacon grease, because that was just what she had, and it tastes awesome. I don't have any bacon grease, and I didn't want to defrost my bacon just for that purpose. So I'm going to season this just a little bit more with the adobo until it looks seasoned, and then we'll move on ahead. So now I'm going to drop these chicken necks into oil that I've had heating while I washed and chopped all my veggies. just pack them in there. My grandma had a big cazuela. She had a big Dutch oven that she would do this in. I do too, but I'm not cooking for a zillion folks, so I think this should work. So I've I swear I've washed the chicken necks twice. Removed a lot of fat and ookiness on them. I like a little fat on them, honestly. It just flavors everything up so good. But I'm going to leave these on here. I'm going to raise the heat. I had it on low just to get the oil ready. I'm going to put that on medium, between medium and medium high. And I'm going to let them do their thing. Meanwhile, I have 6 cups of water to 3 cubes of bouillon. You can use chicken stock in the can or the little, those little containers with a little screw top. You can use whatever you have available. If you're the type who freeze stock, hey, go for it. That's super delicious. That's what I'm going to boil my cabbage and my little squash in. And the reason we don't do it in the same pot, because I used to ask my grandma, how come you don't put it all in the same pot? She says it loses it. They both give off a lot of water and you end up with a soup, which has happened to me. So we do the veggies separate, and then once they're nice and cooked, we then drop them into the pot for the last 15 minutes with the chicken and let it absorb all the yummy flavor. So I'm going to let this go, and we'll be back for the next step. Okay, next step is to drop in my washed, I better not do that. I'll cause a mess. My washed cabbage. I almost stink up the house. Why do things I love smell? But I'm putting the cabbage. I probably can get away with this size skillet. Like I said, I'm just making enough for me basically, because little dude won't touch this. But this is so good leftover. Is so delicious left over. So I'm just gonna squanch it in there, and I'm gonna dump in my squash. Again, this recipe calls for what you have in the house, and this is what I had. I bought the cabbage yesterday because I knew I wanted to do this, so that's all I'm gonna do there. I mean, whatever you have in there, guys. My grandma used to always say, verde con amarillo, yellow with green. You have to have a yellow and a green together. So that's that. I'm going to let that boil and start cooking away, and let these chicken necks have something start happening with them. I'm going to turn up the heat a little because I'm hungry. And this doesn't take long. It takes maybe all of 45 minutes. Okay, so now that there's some color on the chicken necks, usually in a soup I would clear up a lot of that broth, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to dump in my veggies and let that liquid help cook them down and get them all soft and delicious. And after they've cooked down some, then I'll drain, because I don't want that to be just a bunch of grease. If it's stock, that's awesome, but y'all know stock, water, grease all mixed, and you don't want that. So I'm just gonna let the veggies cook down with the necks, and we're close, guys. Stir them all up, get all that juice on them veggies. Ooh, it smells so delicious already. Very simple food. Very belly-filling food for a crowd. You add some rice and beans, which were always on the back of that stove, and some tortillas, and you're good. I didn't make rice because I don't personally like it with it. And I just didn't have time to make the beans. But beans are good alongside of it, so you can dip your tortilla in it. Sometimes my grandma used to have cornbread made in a big cast iron skillet, and we would dunk the cornbread in the little juices that are left. Like, again, if I get it right, it's not going to be soupy, but it is going to be saucy. So let me let that cook down a bit. My veggies are boiling to heck and stinking up my house, but I love the veggies in the chicken because we ended off with a can of tomato sauce, and it gets all up in there and gets all the flavors together, and you get some good dipping sauce. Okay guys, chicken necks are pretty much done. Veggies are nice and wilted. I'm going to go ahead and drain the broth slash grease slash whatever it is that's in here. Like I said, I want to skim it later and see if I can use it as broth, or if it's too much fat, then we just won't. But I'm draining the juice from the chicken because we're about to dump in our veggies, and that would be way too much moisture. And like I said, I've gotten the consistency wrong a lot, and I don't want to anymore. I want to get it right. So see, it's not a lot of grease. I don't know if y'all can see. It's not a lot of grease in it. That might be a nice little stock. So I'm going to put this back on the fire, and then I'm going to put this back on the fire, and then I'm going to drain the veggies the same way and then put them in the pot. Okay, so now we're going to do the veggies, and they are, you know, Southerners, we tend to cook the heck out of our stuff until it's mush. I like to have some bite, not crunchy, but some bite, some form to my cabbage and my squashes. So I took them off the fire. I am going to drain them and then cook the last 10-15 minutes with the chicken, and instead of a big mushy mush, I'll actually have veggies that still look like veggies. So that little chicken, the chicken drippings look good. There's not a lot of grease in it. So I think what I'm going to do, see how they still look like little squash bits? So I think what I'm going to do, because that chicken liquid looks so good and not greasy at all, I'm going to mix that in with the veggie, and I'm going to freeze it, and we're going to have some stock. Ooh, the lighting. So here are the chicken necks. Here I'm sizzling because we took out all that reserved liquid. I'm going to dump in the veggies. At this point, you can save your veggies as a side separate, but I like to mix. That's going to drop some water back in there, but it's okay. A little bit of water ain't going to hurt. They've already cooked, so most of that water is gone. Now all I do is dump in a can of tomato sauce, whatever brand you like. Now I'm not going to put in any water yet. I'm going to stir this up, see what it looks like. It kind of reminds me of cabbage rolls, the way it looks right now. Ooh, I haven't made those in a while. I love those. But anywho, ooh, and I still have some cabbage left. I have ground beef, I have rice. I might do cabbage rolls, guys. Anyway, let me stir this up and see what it looks like. See if I'm close to grandma's. Okay, it's a little dry. So what I'm going to do, y'all see me putting these bin finds to use? I bleached the snot out of these, and now I'm using them in my kitchen. I'm going to put in just a little bit of that stock. Just a tiny little bit, because you want something to dunk your tortilla in. And I'm going to lower it down to low medium. Let it go about another 10 minutes. And we should be good. I got it right, guys. It's not soupy. It's saucy. And it's going to stick to my tortillas. Is it pretty? Heck no. But is it delicious? Yes. There's my squashes. There's my cabbage. There's my necks. Ain't a lot of meat on necks. If y'all know anything about chicken necks, y'all know y'all gotta suck and pick to get any meat out. But it's yummy and good, and that's why we add veggies in it, to fill the belly. That's what the tortillas are for, rice and beans. Like I said, if you add it to it. Will it taste, does it taste just like my grandma's? No. But my cooking doesn't taste like my mommy's either. And if my boys ever learn to cook my stuff, they're going to swear their food doesn't taste like mine. But as long as we keep it all in the family, as long as it brings back memories, as long as we get close, that's what's important. So if you guys like chicken necks and y'all cook them in different ways, let me know. Y'all know I'm all about learning new things up in this kitchen. So until my next go around, if y'all try it, I hope y'all like it. I love y'all bunches, and bon appetit, y'all.